Guys, when we're out on the road, we're very vulnerable to a lot of outside influences, whether it's accidents on the highway, maybe even you run off the road because of wet or snowy conditions, and then of course natural disasters that can happen. But beside the reason, we all realize that there are dangers out on the road, and having an emergency kit is really smart and really essential. Not only can you just break down, but you could be in a tough area way out in the wilderness to where you may not even have cell phone coverage. Great thing is there's a lot of support behind us with AAA and wreckers and with law enforcement to be able to help us, but there are times where we're on our own, and that's what we're going to look at today is an emergency vehicle or car kit, something that you should really have in your vehicle at all times. I did make a emergency car kit. In fact, I did a video on it a couple of years ago, which was based on a 50 caliber ammo tin, and I had everything packed in there, but it was mainly toward just survival. But we're going to look at some ways maybe to get your car back on the road easily instead of waiting for extended periods of time. Now guys, this is a pretty extensive type kit, and there's a number of things that we're going to look at. A couple of things that I just keep handy at all times is a small little survival kit or EDC pack, and this has a lot of things that I just need on a regular basis. I keep one of these in my truck at all times, and also I keep an IFAK, or this is actually a trauma kit. Now I carry an IFAK with me wherever I go, not only because of accidents that can happen, which that is a reason in itself to carry one, but also because I'm a shooter and I go to the range a lot, and I always keep a trauma kit close by, and that's what this really is. The pouch is from Maxpedition. It's one of their new FRP pouches made for medical, specifically designed, and I keep a patch right here so anyone would know that this is for medical. On the outside I have one of the Benchmade cutters, and this is really an exceptional little cutter to cut not only for a medical situation, but let's say you get stuck in your seat belt, which happens a lot of times with accidents. And then I have my trauma kit in here with a cat tourniquet and all the things that I need. I have upgraded it again with some band-aids and some antibiotic ointment and some things like that, but I have a lot of just my trauma kit stuff. Now this is from skinnymedic.com. It is the Essentials Trauma Kit, and then of course added in. Then I also have one of the AMP3 EDC med kits, and this just has a lot of things that you can need in what I like to call a boo-boo kit. This is one of the little EDC pouches from Maxpedition, but it carries all my items in here that I regularly need. I do have a multi-tool in here, some Advil, batteries, lighter, fire starting, chapstick, a knife, a little first aid kit back here, but this is EDC oriented, and just a nice little pack of things that you need on a regular basis. And the biggest thing about it is everything is right here in one spot. But both of these kits stay in my vehicle at all times where I can get right to them up front. In fact, typically in the console. Having a gas can is just one of those sensible things, and the reason why is because especially if you have kids, teenagers who are in their driving years, there's a number of times I've gotten into my vehicle and had barely enough gas to get to the gas station. Or maybe I just can't find a gas station, or for whatever reason. This is a 2-gallon gas can. Now one of the things about this can is that it is a brand new can. And I just keep it in here because if you need gas and need a gas can, you're really supposed to legally put it in a certified gas container. And so if I ever need to use this, I'll just take it and put it up and get another new one, and that way I keep the gas smell down. But gas can is super important. Now I keep a gallon of water in my vehicle for 2 reasons. Number one is in case I need water. Water is one of the list of 3s. It's something that you can only live 3 days without, and having hydration, especially in hot weather, is really seriously vital. Now one of the problems is when really extreme cold weather, this can freeze, and there's some things that need to be thought out with that. But this also, which is the number 2 and not that far down the list, is if you overheat, your vehicle's overheating, you've got some water. This you could also use antifreeze, but with the water I've got redundancy both with drinking and with being able to keep my engine cool to get me to where I need to go. And one other thing about water is that if your windshield gets muddy, if it gets a lot of debris on it, you can take this water and pour it over your windshield and really get it clean. You know, of course you've got washer fluid, but if it's really built up grime, it's just going to smear everywhere. And this could also be big for that. Now, one thing we've had for years and we've used a lot is an emergency roadside kit that just comes like this. One of the big things that has been a godsend to me is having one of these small little compressors, and this can actually fill up your tire, which we have done a number of times. Even if you're at home and your tire is low, it could be a slow leak, but this is going to get you to where you're going, and it has an adapter to be able to fit right into your cigarette lighter. So this is something that we have used over the years that I highly recommend. Now right here in the front we have another compartment, and in here are tools. These tools are kind of essential tools, and it says fix it. But these are they're not super high quality, but they'll definitely get you to where you need to go, hopefully. Inside here we have some jumper cables, which jumper cables are an important element here in this kit. Also, we have a lot of tools and screwdrivers and sockets and things like that to be able to get you going. Even a little bit of tape if you need to tape down a hose or a valve. And then we have a little small road atlas. If your GPS is out, if you're not getting cell service, this could be a lifesaver. And just some gloves. One thing I think that's overlooked a lot of times is being able to get through debris. If you have a fallen tree or there's a lot of things in the middle of the road and you need to be able to cut through, a good way to do it is having an axe. And this is one of the Zippo 3-in-1 tools. This is a great little thing. In fact, this came in the battle box. I did a review on it, and I was really impressed with this tool. It is an axe at the front, and then inside here are saw blades that can connect, and you can even use a saw. And then there's a hammer right here on the end to be able to drive stakes in. So this is a great tool to have. In fact, after I did the review, I put this in my truck because it's just one of those handy things that you can use for a lot of reasons. And if you want the demonstration on this, again, it is in my battle box opening, and I did a whole demonstration of that box. I'm really thinking about doing a whole separate video just on this because I think it's such a useful tool. Now, one thing that I found, and actually I was at Palmetto State Armory the other day and I came across these ammo crates. They are just the perfect size to go into the seat of my truck, and I really like the compactness. This is from MTM. It's from Case Guard, which they make the reloading cases for ammunition and things like that. But this is a neat little box, and again, I got 2 of them. What's really cool about this box is it has grab handles here, but then you have some levers to be able to open this up, and even a place to put a lock on here if you want. Inside, I have a tarp. A tarp is really smart, and plus this one has the reflective material, so this is also can be used as a space blanket or a shelter. So having a good tarp is something that I need a lot anyway, and so here we just got a good tarp. Then I have one of these heavy meal trash bags, which I like to keep in all my survival bags. They're inexpensive. You can buy a big box of them. They're contractor's bags. I buy the heaviest meal that I can get. They're a lot more expensive than your standard bags, but still very inexpensive for what they're used for. And one of the things I love about this is that if I'm changing a tire or I have some kind of problem, I have to get on the ground, I can lay this down, or I can also use this as a rain poncho or whatever. There's a lot of uses for these kind of things to supplement with your tarp. You can actually lay this down, put your tarp up as shelter, and then you've got a floor. So just a great item. Now, to go along with my axe, the Zippo axe, I have this wicked saw, and being able to saw things that I need to. And this is a great little item. It has a little button right here to open up. This cuts like you would not believe. I do have a little bit of emergency lifeboat food in here just in case, and this is more toward the survival side. But also I have a small little water filter system. And this is one of the Sawyer little water filters, little pump with a little bag. And I just having a way to filter water, especially after you get through that first gallon. This is just on the survival side as well. Now I have a dedicated rain poncho in here. This is a little bit redundant because I can use my tarp, or this can be used as the tarp. But I tend to use a tarp a lot, so having a small rain jacket to me is just smart. I have a battery backup here, and this is one of the Dark Energy battery backups. This is a great little system. I'm working on a review right now, but this thing lasts forever. And I've used this not only for my phone, but for my GoPros and other electronic devices. The cable here also has paracord, so if you need it, this actually plugs into your USB, and you need to have your cable to put into here for whether it's a phone or whatever right in here. There's also a light on this as well, so there's some redundancy there. It's pretty cool. And then I have one of these Bastion. This is a different charger for different type applications, and my iPhone goes right in here, but I can also do other things. I do keep some paracord definitely in here. I can do a lot of tie downs and things like that, and I have a small lighter. This is on the spool tool, and you guys have seen this a number of times. This is one of the best paracord organizers that I know of. It even has the cutter right here, and of course the lighter to burn the ends. Also have one of the flare guns, and I've got a couple of flares in here. This is for if you're off the road, if you're somewhere where you need to be found. This is a great item. And I have one of the little military shovels. There's a lot of different ones you can get, but the military shovels are just made and built like tanks. And this is something, of course, getting you out of, maybe you're stuck somewhere, and this will help, or a lot of other things. Now here we have the second box, same thing. There's some different type items in here. For one thing, I have a watch cap, and this will just keep your head warm, especially with winter coming. Have a small rag, especially even when you're changing your oil and being able to check your dipstick, but there's a lot of reasons to have a good rag. One of the things when you're out on the road, having something, some way to identify you. A lot of people get hit, and so this actually has reflective material on it, and then it's this bright yellow. So this to me is something that's really great to have tucked away. I have a pair of nitrile gloves. These are just good mechanics gloves, and you know, gloves obviously have a use. Now one of the things I have in here is Fix-A-Flat, and this can really help you to get out of an area in an emergency situation. There's a lot of guys that do work on tires that don't like for you to use Fix-A-Flat. This is something that, you know, you just have to weigh it out. But we've used Fix-A-Flat for years and had it in our vehicles, and love this stuff. Now I do have one of the glow sticks. One of the things that I had failed to get for this video were some flares, and road flares. But having some of these in hand are really good. Just the glow sticks, they can warn people, you can have them out. Really, I would add a couple of more of these to this. Have a nice fixed blade knife, and this is one of the Robert Paltron DPX, and just a great knife, but any kind of fixed blade knife could come in handy, especially in a survival situation. Pair of safety glasses. An ice scraper, which I keep one in my door, but I just have one back here because ice scrapers, you know, can get pulled out of your vehicle, and this is a great, something that you definitely need in the winter. Have a good flashlight, and flashlights are important. And I also have a headlamp. This is hands-free, so I can, if I have a flat tire at night, I can put this on my head, shine, and I can see what's going on. Now I have some duct tape. This can be used for a bazillion reasons, and that goes without saying. But one of the things that I really like about duct tape is that if I have a leak in a hose or have some kind of problem, duct tape can help get me where I'm going. Also have a couple of screwdrivers, flathead and a Phillips head. Have a good solid sturdy wrench and some bug repellent. Have a bunch of zip ties, and I have a pry bar. And this is one tool that I've been adding to a lot of packs. Not necessarily this type, but different kinds. And of course, if you have a crowbar, that also works as well. Here we have some ratchet straps, and these can be bought pretty inexpensively. These are pretty decent ones, but I have a whole set here, and especially with a truck, that's important. But if you're in a vehicle and you need to, for some reason, need to tie something down onto your vehicle, you can use this to do so. Also have a number of bungee cords in different sizes, and I have a tow strap. And a tow strap, these obviously have a lot of reasons, but tow straps, I have had to have one of these a while back, and it would have been good to have one, so I wanted to make sure I had it in my vehicle. One thing too that I really like about these containers is there's a gasket seal in the lid, and so this keeps it somewhat waterproof, and that could be very vital as well. Guys, I realize this is a lot of gear, and there are some things that are redundant here, but this is just what I like to put together. And I think that it's important to look at a kind of a large kit that may be a little bit overkill to give you different ideas on what you should put in your kit. Having a kit is not really an option. You really need one to be able to handle those situations, not only for yourself but for your family as well if you have them with you. But this is just to show you a lot of different things you can do, and hopefully down in the description below, just list some things. If you see some things that I might have missed or that you think may not even be necessary, you know, definitely leave it down there, because a lot of guys read those comments and it really helps a lot to you know, for us to think through these things. And that's one of the biggest things, is to think ahead, to plan ahead, and life just gets a lot easier. Now everybody's kit's going to be different. You have different space limitations, you have different type vehicles, and you know, and what you feel like you may need. But over the experience of the past few years, I put a lot of thought into this, and I think I've covered a lot of the bases. It's a pretty extensive kit, but something that I think that it'll at least get you to thinking about certain items that you want to carry with you. So guys, I hope this has inspired you to put together your emergency kit if you don't already have one. You know, your trunk, even under the seat of your vehicle, you know, having some things set aside just to be able to keep you safe and to get you home. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. On the outside, I have one of the Maxpedition. Okay. On the outside, this is one of the being able to get through debris. And guys, if you're hearing a lot of noise in the background, my sons and their cousins are playing basketball, so just FYI. Much less in a medical situation.